inside.
For clothes that Tristan long. At Bold 3 Detergent Plus Fabric Softener. Spray. Relief.
Boom, boom, boom. Welcome, SouthFFL, to the podcast. We're doing this a little bit differently this year, all right? We're doing this as a team because fantasy football, it's about teams. And we figured the podcast could be about teams as well. So this season, we'll have a weekly get-together. Everyone else in the league is also welcome to hop on here at any point in time. Shoot us a message. Say I want to get on the weekly pod get together. But for the first week, we got some OG SouthFFL members. We got Adam in here, Alen, Justin, and Leo. Everyone, what's up?
Definitely excited
for
this team podcast. It's hard to do it on your own, and
it's very hard to do it on our own.
Yeah, if you have a squad to do it with, it makes it much easier, and honestly, you have a lot more to talk about, I think.
Yeah, I feel like it can give us more of like a dynamic. Everyone agrees that the podcast gets boring. 4 weeks into the season, it's the exact same thing every single week. This one, it can be, just more to it. Actual conversation, I think it'll be a lot better.
Also, if one person misses out, I know it's so hard trying to get somebody scheduled in for a podcast. Everyone's schedule is different, so if just one of us misses out, we'll still have 4 to 5 other people doing it.
Yep, sure.
I think that's an excellent point, Alan. It'll the weight can be shouldered by a lot of people because just being the host of the podcast by yourself is a lot to handle.
I could listen to Leo talk by himself for hours, though.
No, you couldn't. No, you cannot.
It'd be amazing.
All right, but yeah, so this first episode, as tradition, I think we're going to go through the rosters, maybe give a ranking at the end. I don't have any specific ranking.
Should we maybe do it different and we all pick a team we like and do that? Like
I haven't even looked at the
team.
teams. I'll be honest. This is all raw thoughts for me. I've heard talk and stuff, but this is pure raw thoughts for SouthFFL.
I actually like this a little better.
I want this to be like Skip Bayless type talk show.
Getting me riled up.
Go through them. Just give hot takes about them, give opinions about them. Whatever.
All right.
Alan can crack some jokes now and then the whole time, whatever. All right. So we'll just go through the teams. I don't think we're going to rank them this year, but we're just going to evaluate the team, say if they're a good team, we think they're a bad team. It's really tough to tell because there's going to be injuries and breakout players no one expects, but these are our initial preseason stuff. So
As far as I know, some of these teams are subject to change sooner rather than later, right?
Which one?
I don't know of any further trades. Mine and Tate's trade
Already went through, right?
Oh, it already went through?
It's already gone
Oh.
through.
Yeah.
It went through about 2 hours ago.
Oh, okay.
So these are, as of now, finalized teams, but I was talking to Leo about this. Me and him always make a trade every year for the past 2 or 3 years now, so me and him will have something going on here pretty soon. We'll just go down the list. With my team happens to be first on, so we'll start with that. Whatever. I guess I'll go first because I can talk about my draft ideas, and you guys can say if it's a good team or not. But essentially, I came into this draft wanting to get a wide receiver, Jamar Chase, and Travis Kelce with my first 2 picks. I was telling Leo that for a while. But thankfully, that was what I was able to do. I like the value in the later running backs, and so whatever, I had faith in them. But to break down the team, Kyler Murray, I think he has potential to finish as the QB1, but more likely he'll be like a bottom QB5, like QB5, QB6, whatever, but that's pretty acceptable. I think he's good. I think my running backs definitely bust. We could look at this 6 weeks from now, and my running backs could be horrible. But at the same time, I think they could be very good. Travis Etienne played with Trevor Lawrence in college. He's a nice receiving back, so Trevor Lawrence will be able to check it down to him a lot. He'll get those receptions. I think he'll be a workhorse in there. I know a lot of people are worried about James Robinson, but Travis Etienne's one of the best running back prospects of very recent time to come out. James Robinson was an undrafted guy, and he's coming off an extremely difficult injury to come back from. I think Travis Etienne is going to end up being a pretty decent player. A.J. Dillon, I think, is going to be better than what ESPN has him projected at. Their coaches, called him and Aaron Jones a 1A and a 1B. And so I'm not expecting A.J. Dillon to be like a top-tier running back by any means, but I think he will be serviceable. And so all I was shooting for out of my running backs was serviceable, and then I wanted to hit it hard with receivers, which I feel like I did. Mike Williams is in a high-tiered offense. Cooper Kupp, that I traded with Tate, is Cooper Kupp. Travis Kelce, he could certainly see a regression year. It's in the cards. I'm aware of that, but it's in the cards. He has the best career, year of his career without Travis or without Tyreek Hill. There, you don't really know. I think he'll be solid, and then I'm not going to go through all my bench and stuff, but there's a lot of flex depth, or at least I feel like I have flex depth. So overall, I feel like it could be an ugly floor for my team, but I think it's a good team overall. I'm satisfied with how we're.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So obviously there was a conundrum with the Tate's first pick. Was it you could obviously have said no to his trade? Was it like a no-brainer for you to take Cooper Kupp, or did you ponder that a little bit?
No, so I did ponder it. Actually, Tate texted me during the draft, right after I made the Jamar Chase trade about it. So he texted me the trade, and I said I might be down for a trade. And then the draft is going, and he's sitting on the clock at T. Higgins. And he passes on T. Higgins and takes Mike Evans, I think. And so then I texted him again because at that point I wasn't sure. I thought maybe I wanted Jamar Chase still. And I said, I need some time to think about it. And Tate's like, well, I just passed on T. Higgins because I thought you had agreed to the Jamar Chase trade. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll make the trade. It really should be a no-brainer. Jamar Chase is a very, very special talent. So is Cooper Kupp. Jamar Chase is crazy. And so, I could see looking back on that now, at the end of the season, regretting it severely. But
you can't beat yourself up for something like that, though, because it's
it's a player I never had a chance to get. Was supposedly, potentially, a lot of people would say would take as the number one pick. So
he had the best season ever last year, literally. So
yeah, I didn't understand why Tate was so against Chris Godwin, but you said you'd taken Mike Evans, so that makes more sense to me now. But I was so confused.
That was his thing. He said he was fine with Chris Godwin if he didn't have Mike Evans, but
yeah.
Having the team was not good.
That makes a lot
Chris
more
Godwin's
sense to me
nice.
because I was trying to figure out, I was like, why does he hate Chris Godwin? Chris Godwin's a solid receiver, I just didn't really understand that. Yeah, I think your team, obviously you went the 0 RB strat, and, if you're going to go 0 RB strat, I definitely think you did it right.
Yeah.
Because all your other positions are pretty loaded up, and, I don't actually think your floor is that bad. Travis Kelce and Cooper Kupp should be consistent scorers. I think Cooper Kupp last year had one game under 95 yards, so he's guaranteed points, or not guaranteed, but you have the expectation of guaranteed points. And Kyler Murray, is also a very good quarterback. Chris Godwin, super good receiver. Mike Williams is one of the best offenses. You have a bunch of good offenses on your team outside of Travis Etienne. But, James Robinson 2 years ago was RB5 in the league, I think, in fantasy. and he was on Jacksonville, and that roster was bad back then too. So I definitely think you have a pretty high ceiling, and I don't think your floor is that low, as you were saying.
You also hit the handcuffs pretty good too with the running backs. I feel like.
Yeah, Daryl Henderson annoyed me. I was there.
Like obviously,
pick after.
You're not gonna. You're like I would imagine you're not gonna have any problems setting your lineup week to week, but like you have like really good insurance. I feel like so.
Yeah, that was something I felt like I needed in my running back since I went 0 RB is to like get as many handcuffs as I can and not hope for an injury. If an injury happens, I have a lot of guys that are one injury away from being a workhorse running back.
Yeah.
I really like your team, Ryan. I was kind of shocked that they ranked it low at the ESPN thing, but that's always subject to change after the first week. But specifically, the things I like about it are the Travis Kelce and Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp already did great last year, obviously, but with Robert Woods being gone, just even more volume towards him. And then same thing with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill being gone. They already have that connection. And the guys they have in there now with Juju and whatever that other guy's name is on 15 million. I drafted him.
Sky Moore.
No, is it
or MPS?
Yeah,
Marquez Valdez.
So I think Travis Kelce's gonna eat right there, like the the late Alex Smith days when it was just him out there. So I think it's gonna be very similar. That I think he's easily gonna be tight end one. So that's why I really like your team. As far as the running backs, it's really just the rookie, the Jags, Travis. I think he's going to do really good. I don't see him doing that bad. I think where you drafted him, you didn't reach for him. You got him at a right spot. As far as Dylan, I mean, he's your RB2 in there, so he just has to do RB2 numbers, in my opinion, and he can boom a lot of the weeks also. You never know.
You're saying that's the least important position in fantasy football, right, Ryan?
It's definitely been a trend that's been popular this offseason is that RB2 is the least important position in fantasy football. And I think the thought is that, there's so many running back injuries that you can just build an RB2 off the waiver. And most people are going to lose their RB2 unless you happen to,
just get lucky.
So it's a new trend that's been around a lot this offseason, or at least the first that I've been seeing it as much.
Yeah, I think your chances of actually losing your RB2 are probably a little bit lower than, if I'm being honest, since A.J. Dillon isn't, the 1A. It's Aaron Jones. So his likelihood of getting injured early is probably just lower. And he also hasn't been in the league, for a long time, taking tons and tons of hits. So, maybe it'd work out fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the hope.
All right, Leo, do you have anything to say, or should we move on?
Yeah, I really like your team, Ryan. The only thing that I'm really worried about is Kyler Murray. As we all know, we have all heard talks about him being very into Call of Duty and all of the video games and all that stuff. Do you think that's going to affect your game a little bit or no? You don't think?
No, Call of Duty's been terrible for years, so he should be locked into the NFL season.
New Warzone though is coming out.
Will you be
November.
checking the double XP
Emmed up
weekends?
too. Yeah,
Warzone 2 comes out in November. We need to track that.
Yo, this man liked the promotion tweet, Ryan, of the Call of Duty. You saw that one.
This man, he just signed a new contract. He's locked in. All right. We can move on then.
Yeah, we can move on.
Yeah.
I'll let someone else with the first one, or the next one. Since I
Is
started.
Colin's the next up? All right. I can lead the way on this. I haven't, looked at his team at all, so I'm just gonna do, pure analysis right now. Right off the bat, I see Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette. I think that's probably pretty good. Joe Mixon was RB3 last year in half PPR, and his offensive line got better, and he's never really averaged that many yards per carry and was still putting up RB3 numbers. So the expectation with a better offensive line is that maybe he'll have a higher yards per carry and be better. Leonard Fournette, catches the ball a lot, so I feel like he has a solid running back core here. Josh Allen is going to obviously put up points, super good. Terry McLaurin, I mean, his receivers here are a little iffy for me, if I'm being completely honest. Terry McLaurin, I think he's really good. I don't know how much I trust Carson Wentz. I've never been a fan, and I will stand by that. But, Terry McLaurin's still really good at the end of the day, so I think Colin should be fine with him. Juju Smith-Schuster, he kind of took a turn for the worse in Pittsburgh, but he has a much better QB throwing for him now, than old Big Ben. He has, debatably the best QB in the NFL, depending who you ask. And Tyreek's gone, so, there's a chance that Juju gets a lot of work and, proves that he puts up those numbers that drove Antonio Brown to insanity. Hunter Henry, I don't really think there's much to say. There's not really many weapons in New England, so, he might be a safe option for a catch or a couple catches a game. Michael Thomas, don't really like it. I think, he's obviously super good, a couple years ago, but there's always just something going on with him. It's not really worth the headache to me.
Bro.
Also been out of football for a while.
Though.
Yeah, true. Colin did get DeAndre Hopkins, though, so that kind of does make up for it after week 6. And that could actually make Colin's team pretty strong once he gets D-Hop back, as long as he can stay afloat for a while. Other than that, I don't really think there's too much.
Damian Harris. I think Damian Harris is a nice pick, too, because like Damian Harris was sneakily good last year, and obviously Ramondre Stevenson is there, but I think if Damian Harris can run away with that,
that
would be a big
that's just
boost
one of
as
those
well.
chance things. But obviously when you're taking a running back that late, all of them have their issues. But New England consistently puts up a solid running back or a solid slate of running backs for fantasy. So he very well could be, but he's a late round running back, and that's kind of the expectation, is that it's iffy anyways.
Yeah.
I think that's probably all I got to say about it. It's pretty decent roster. I definitely could take a turn for the worse. But that's just fantasy.
Dude, I'll say this. Oh, sorry, Alan, go ahead.
There's a delay. Sometimes we talk over each other. I just want to bring up just 2 players, and it's Juju and Michael Thomas. Obviously, Michael Thomas doesn't have Drew Brees next to him, but I feel like he really does have something still left in the tank. And I was eyeballing him in the late rounds. The man's best season was 1,700 yards. Okay, and if he's at a flex position, I'm sure Colin's just expecting 1,000 yards, and that would be well worth the pick. And then we do got DeAndre out there. It's going to come back later. Juju, at the age of 20, put up 1,400 yards, and I think it was 7 or 9 touchdowns. And that was what busted up Big Ben, and now he's got one of the best quarterbacks in, arguably history. I think he's going to have a great year. If he's wide receiver 1, he's going to get some attention. They're going to double Travis a lot in the red zone because that's where he's hot. That's where people know he's going to get the ball. I think Juju's going to have a big year this year. I really, really wanted to draft him, but I missed out on him. Colin snagged him up. I think he was a few picks ahead of me. I was kind of upset about it. But I think both of those players are, surprise people. And even if they have average years where Colin drafted them for what they, his expectations shouldn't be super high. If either one of them get up to 1,000 yards, it's well worth the pick.
That's fair. I definitely think he has a high ceiling. So
I'll say, I basically thought this team that Colin has was going to be my team going into the draft. I thought I was going to end up with those 2 running backs and those 2 wide receivers, and I was going to be pretty happy with that outcome because of Juju's potential. And I had Leonard Fournette last year, and he's still got it. He's still nasty, and Tom Brady likes to throw it to him. So I like Colin's team a lot, and obviously D-Hop and Harris. But yeah,
I have to agree with Alan's takes. He hit pretty much everything I was thinking. Collins has one of my favorite teams in the draft. No, I think Juju could very well emerge as the clear-cut wide receiver one in that offense. There's been reports out of their training camp all offseason that they really love Juju there, and so if he emerges as that guy, that's a huge receiver. I think Michael Thomas is going to have a very good year this year. I think Jameis Winston is going to make that a high-powered offense. And Michael Thomas is an elite talent. I know he's had issues for the past few years, but I think he'll come back and be very good. And then once DeAndre Hopkins comes back, like Alen says, Terry McLaurin is a good receiver to have. But even if he is having a bad year, Colin will be able to put DeAndre Hopkins in there. And I think Garrett Wilson also has a chance to pop off too. He's a pretty good talent. So Colin's team's one of my favorite. I don't like Hunter Henry very much. I think that's a pretty weak position on his team as tight end. His team's pretty solid at every other position. I think Joe Mixon and Leonard Fournette is a very, very solid 1-2 punch. Certainly an injury could happen, but everybody takes that risk. I think Colin's team is elite, and then Josh Allen. Obviously, I don't have to say anything. Josh Allen.
Yeah.
Have anything, Leo, or did we touch on it all?
I think you guys touched on it all, but I do want to add, like, with Damian Harris, he was really good for me last year. And like Justin said, he was kind of like a sneaky good kind of guy. I didn't really expect much from him, but I knew that he could put up the numbers like last year. And with Colin having him, especially drafting him like later in the rounds, I think it's a steal. But I understand that Ramondre Stevenson is still there, but Damian gets more of like the rushing yards, right? And then Ramondre gets more of the passing games. But I feel like Damian will still put up a lot of points with the like with him being the New England's running back RB1.
Yeah, Damian Harris had 5 games over 100 yards last year and multiple double-digit fantasy points.
Yeah, man was good. He was really good.
Sure. It's pretty solid for the position to be drafted.
I can take us into Braxton's team if we're ready to move on.
Pull it up.
Send me the. I'm sorry. Can you guys send me the sheet you guys are looking at, the order? If somebody could just text it to me. I'm sorry. Just go ahead.
It's just on rosters. If you go on league, it's just rosters. It's in the same order, I think. So Braxton's team, like, I know he was itching to kind of like maybe take CMC, and he wanted to get Jonathan Taylor though, and I just feel like that first pick was a little bit brutal, maybe, but I feel like the upside is pretty tremendous, because if you look at Saquon Barkley, Cortland Sutton, and Marquise Brown, they could all have monster years in their own respect. And Russell Wilson, I think, will be good just because he's always pretty solid whenever he's actually on the field. And I know he's gotten injured a little bit the past couple of years maybe, but I think he'll be good with those young wide receivers there. And I think the Cortland Sutton stat could maybe pay dividends at the end of the season. I know he was really excited about Mark Andrews too. Mark Andrews, was he like 5th in receiving yards or something, like of all pass catchers or something like that? He had like some insane receiving yards numbers, I feel like, but I feel like that was a pretty solid pick. Obviously his flex is not the best, but I mean Chase Edmonds could pop off, you never know. I won't really talk about his bench, but he's got so many running backs. It's unhealthy how many running backs he has. He tried to draft a 9th one too, and he hit the limit. He didn't even know. But obviously Alexander Madison is the guy that everybody kind of targets in those late rounds, just because he always goes crazy when Dalvin Cook misses a game or two. He's also got James Cook, who could potentially run away with the Buffalo job. I like Brandon Ayuk a lot, just because a lot of people went into last season thinking Brandon Ayuk was going to be the guy, and it ended up being Deebo Samuel. And I don't know. I feel like since Brandon Ayuk got his act together toward the end of the year last year, and just the stuff you hear about him, I feel like he could potentially have a big season. Overall, I like the team though. It's a little bit risky. Anytime you draft Saquon, you're setting yourself up for either freaking heartbreak or just triumph. Adam knows better than all of us, right? So that's kind of what I got on that. But I think the wide receivers could pop off though, for real.
Yeah, I'm a Cortland Sutton fan for sure. I took him last year, but he had Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, or not Teddy Bridgewater, sorry. He had Drew Lock thrown to him last year, and whoever else they had playing quarterback, because I remember they had a whole crazy situation going on all the time. Saquon, I'm glad to just have it over with. No more on my team.
Moved on.
Yeah, I need to move on, man. I didn't need Lamar Miller back in my life. Yeah, obviously JT is going to be super good. I think Braxton has a pretty solid ceiling and floor on his team. I think it is worth noting that Russell Wilson in the past years has kind of taken a step off at the end of the season. This isn't really fantasy relevant, but I did see a stat that he hadn't won a playoff game where an opponent scored a touchdown since 2014, which I thought was interesting. Just kind of ties into end of the season stats, but it also might not mean anything. But yeah, having your quarterback maybe fall off the end of the season isn't the best thing to have if that happens again. But I think it's a pretty solid team.
I like Braxton's team. Be good. I think I agree with Justin. It definitely has a bust potential. There's a scenario where Saquon doesn't work out. Jerry Jeudy is the clear wide receiver one in that Denver offense. I think Marquise Brown will be pretty solid and Mark Andrews will be, but maybe Chase Edmonds doesn't work out. I think there's definitely a scenario where it looks bad. I think there's a better chance that it goes good for him. I am in the camp that I think Jeudy ends up being the wide receiver one in that offense, but I think it's more like a 1A, 1B. So I think Sutton should be good. And with as crazy offensive as the AFC West is going to be, they're going to have to be putting up points every single week, and so they'll be in these shootouts where Russell Wilson is having to score a lot and Sutton is as well. I believe in Saquon Barkley this year. I think Dable's going to turn that team around. They drafted offensive linemen. They fixed up that part. I think it's going to look like a much better offense. And Chase Edmonds, it sounds like from what all the reports coming out is that he's like the running back one there in Miami. And so as it looks right now, I like Braxton's team a lot. I think it is going to be very good, but it certainly has the potential bust. But like Justin was saying too, I think Justin did a good job with his analysis. He has really good backups that can fill in any positions if he has some injuries.
I like it. I like his team. Really like the Mark Andrews pick. I like the Hollywood Brown pick. I was trying to get Christian to take him. I'm big on Hollywood Brown. I think he's gonna have a breakout year. I think he's gonna start off strong, and then when Hopkins comes back, I think he's going to slow down a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be a red zone threat. I think Zach Ertz is going to take a lot of those. But as far as receptions and yards, I think he's going to have a crazy year. And I'm going to agree with you, Ryan, on Saquon Barkley. I think he's going to come back this year. He might even win Comeback Player of the Year, honestly. Bold take. We'll save that one. Somebody clip it.
On YouTube.
Yeah, but I believe in him. And then as far as Russell Wilson, man, I'm not gonna count out Russell Wilson. Let's ride. But I don't know. I got this feeling.
Hey, listen to your gut, Alan. Listen to your gut. Listen to your bones.
Them bones shake.
Russell Wilson ain't gonna be the same Russell Wilson.
Oh,
dude, he runs plays by himself.
Justin, it's in his bones. Is what I don't think you're understanding.
I got it in my bones.
We got a little opinionator out here, huh?
See it in my bones. It's telling me. And as soon as I drafted Jerry Jeudy, something in my head popped, and I said, Russell ain't going. Something's gonna happen. I don't know if he's gonna get injured. I don't know if there's gonna be inconsistent. I don't know if it's him switch. Something's gonna happen, guys. And listen, you might not believe me now, and I hope I'm wrong. I really do, because I got Jerry Jeudy. I hope I'm I hope he's QB1, but
Who's the backup?
I don't feel good about it.
Who knows?
Do you have anything to say about Braxton, Leah?
I do a little bit. So I think this is definitely the comeback year for Saquon. I really think so. Because remember, the first year somebody has ever drafted him won a championship, and that was me. I was drafted Saquon. He came back later in the year to give me a ship. I think this year he can have a breakout year. I don't want to I don't want to say he's going to come back and be like the top 5 running backs. I'm not necessarily saying that, but I'm definitely saying he can be a usable back this year. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm glad we're all on the Saquon train so we can go down together.
Get that play action going, open up the offense. He'll find some holes, baby.
Yeah, listen, guys, medicine changes rapidly every year. They got those hybrid chambers and those eggs, and this comes back half machine. It ain't the same Saquon.
Yeah, like Cyborg.
That's what I thought last year.
Yeah,
Leo, tell us about your team.
Take us into your team, your thought process, the mind behind the madness.
The change in team name.
Oh yeah, we introduced that too.
Hold on. Someone else go it for me.
No, it's your team. No.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm back. So sorry, I had a call. So for my team, I had a really good strategy going in. I thought at least. I don't know. So I was doing mock drafts. I was sending messages and Snapchats to you guys like late in the night of me doing mock drafts of the day before. I was really like I had to make sure this is a team I wanted to go with, right? So first, when I go into the mock draft, I had like two separate mock drafts going at the same time. One was if I was able to get JT, and the other one if like Braxton definitely taking JT and I'm getting CMC. So I had those two running, and I mean, no matter how like one turns out, like the other one's gonna be the same. But besides like the first two running backs, obviously. So I went and did that, and the team that I had during my mock draft was basically the team that you guys are seeing now. CMC, definitely my first pick, and then the second pick I wanted to go with the running back. Right, so I had to go with one that I would be able to rely on, and it turned out to be Nick Chubb. After watching some of the highlight reels of his, and I feel like Nick Chubb could be the guy, but the concerning thing for Nick Chubb is that Kareem Hunt is still there. And they're saying that this year, Kareem Hunt is going to put out a better number than Nick Chubb was because within the first 4 week span that Nick Chubb had last year, Kareem Hunt was able to do like produce more in those 4 games than Nick Chubb did. So that's a little concerning for me. And then later on in the rounds, I got Justin Herbert and the Keenan Allen stack. Dude, that I feel like that one is pretty nice. And I'm very excited to see them play it live too, like this Saturday or this Sunday. Sorry, against the Raiders. I think that'll be a very high scoring game, and I think that'll be a fun game to watch my players play in person. And then I feel like I picked up a really stud, like a nice stud, Amon-Ra St. Brown, bro. Think about this guy for a second. You listen to his name, you know he's a fucking stud. And then you look at his highlights, dude, they speak for themselves, bro. I don't know. Those are just my top picks. I don't really have anything to say about the other guys besides like, yeah, they're the positions that I feel like would fit into my scheme, or the players that would fit into my scheme. Like Dawson Knox, he's got one of the best quarterbacks running, like throwing to him in history. You know, Josh Allen, great fucking quarterback. And if you
One of the
look
best
at his
quarterbacks in
output
history.
in history, I would say so. Yeah, it's bold statement. I'll say it.
There it is.
And then we have the Bills defense, bro. Best defense in the league. I'm gonna say that too. So yeah, that's my team. So what do you guys have to say about that?
Can I go first?
Go for it.
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna be honest. I think Leo did something different this year. I think he opened his eyes finally, and he drafted one of the best teams he's ever drafted. And I'll be honest, I like it a lot. Just really comes down to if CMC is gonna stay healthy for the whole year. But I like it a lot. My only concern, I guess, would be like the flex. But besides that, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. I really like it. I think it might be one of the best, if not the best, teams in the league this year. I really like it.
Ooh, I like that. I like that.
I agree with Alan. I think your team's really good. Any team with Christian McCaffrey, if he stays healthy, that man's going to be disgusting. I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of Nick Chubb. I think that offense with Jacoby Brissett is going to be like ugly, and it's a split backfield. And I personally don't believe in Nick Chubb that much, but he is an elite talent, so he could make the most of it and end up being really good. Keenan Allen and Amon-Ra, the Sun God, is an excellent stat. I think that's really good receivers. Dawson Knox is a good tight end. I agree with Alan that you're pretty weak at flex. I don't think Alan Lazard is going to be that great, but I think Kadarius Toney is going to end up being a really good player. I think that's who will be in your flex most weeks. And also, I think Kenneth Gainwell he could potentially emerge as the RB1 in that offense. And so maybe you could have him as well. But I think like Christian McCaffrey, Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, amon-ra, and Dawson, that right there is going to be a pretty dangerous stack alone in itself. And I think you have one of the better teams in the league.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I like that.
Yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I like your team a lot. I think Nick Chubb could be good, like really
I
good.
hope so. I really
But
hope so.
who knows?
Yeah.
That's really all I have to add.
Yeah, there probably is some bust potential on the team. If I'm being completely honest, obviously, they all just hyped you up. So there's no reason for me to hype you up. I do like the team, but there is definitely bust potential with CMC's constant injuries.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen with the Mike Williams, Keenan Allen. They are 1A, 1B, obviously, so it's probably not that big of a deal. Obviously,
Yeah.
Justin Herbert's going to be good, and they're going to have to put up points if they want to survive. The flex plays are going to probably be pretty tough, I think, for you. I don't really like your bench very much at all. So I don't know really what you're going to do about your flex, but your team's definitely pretty top heavy. But top heavy is not always bad. It's if they all stay healthy, then you're good. But that's how any team is. So definitely solid squad.
We'll say this, Leo. I forgot to mention it. Amon-Ra could taper off at the end of the year once Jameson Williams comes back. If he comes back and is crazy in that offense, we might see an end of the year drop off from Amon-Ra, but not for certain. Something to keep an eye on.
Christian really, really wanted him, and when you stole him, Leo, he was really upset.
I'll be honest, I wanted him too. I got him in a lot of mock drafts.
Who did you get in mock drafts?
Amon-Ra.
So the thing with CMC is, I know the injury is very concerning, but what I've heard is the 2 injuries that he's had, it's not something that would affect him from year to year. It's not something that he can't recover from, or it's not like a tough injury that it takes time to heal. Kind of like what James Robinson had. It's not like that. It's not like.
The thing about injuries is they're pretty unpredictable, So, but yeah, he is a little bit smaller inherently. I'm pretty sure, so you are more likely to get injured in those cases.
That is very true.
But yeah, I guess we move on to Abbas's team. Alan, would you like to give Abbas your...
Alan's team is after Abbas's, so you can go back to back if you want. If you don't want to go back to back, then I can start or someone else. But if you want to go back to back, then feel free. Start them because it'll be Abbas's team, and then it'll be your team. If you want to start Abbas's, and then you can start yours, or else you can start Abbas's and you can just start yours.
If you want to just start yours, or start Abbas's.
All right. Yeah. So we'll move on to a boss's team then. This is one I haven't looked at as much.
It's the Raiders.
It is the Raiders. Glancing at it, Lamar, I think Lamar could be in for another MVP season. I think he's going to come back with the Ravens all coming back healthy. Them kind of being stomped on. I think this is going to be a huge year for Lamar. So I think that's a really good pick for a boss. DeAndre Swift, I also think, is a really good player. He'll have like a really good receiving role. And that offense doesn't have to be great for him to get talent. He's an Anthony Lynn running back, and Anthony Lynn offenses are always going to have these kind of white quarterbacks. So I think DeAndre Swift should be good. He'll get stuff in the passing game. I don't like Josh Jacobs' pick at all. I think Josh Jacobs is in a committee backfield in which behind a very terrible offensive line. I don't think Josh Jacobs is going to be all. But he does have Ramondre Stevenson and Melvin Gordon down on his bench, and so I think kind of opposite of what you guys were saying of Damian Harris. I think Ramondre Stevenson will end up being the RB1 in that offense by the end of the year. And so even if Josh Jacobs doesn't work out for a boss, he's able to put Ramondre Stevenson in there, and that's not too bad. Devontae Adams, Michael Pittman, Aaron Waller. Devontae Adams is obviously going to be good. I know, some people don't think he'll be good in Raiders offense. People think he will be. I'm in the camp that he's going to still be a very good talent there. I guess him and Darren Waller are kind of going to compete for targets, you could say, but that offense is going to have to score so much because the secondary on their defense is so bad that both of them should be able to see lots of targets. So I think Devontae Adams, Darren Waller's questionable right now, but he was holding out for a contract and he returned to practice this week, so I would expect him to be back starting this week. I think Michael Pittman, he was a beast last year with a bad quarterback, and Matt Ryan's not fantastic, but he's definitely an upgrade. So I think Michael Pittman should be good. Elijah Moore is really good to have for a flex spot. Overall, I'm a huge fan of a boss's team, minus his RB2, but kind of like with my team, your RB2 is not really that important.
Yeah,
I like his team too. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you got it. Go for it.
I really wanted DeAndre Swift, to be honest. I thought I was gonna get him instead of like Aaron Jones, but a boss threw a wild card in there. But yeah, I don't have much to add to that. I don't mess with any like Jets players, I guess, no matter how like. I don't know. I just don't trust it, I guess, because it could be horrible. But I like his team. I think even like his defense could make a big impact for his lineup. And I think it's a little wonky to have three players in your starting lineup on the same team, but I guess you never know. Josh Jacobs could get those goal line looks, even though Devontae probably will get them, but it doesn't matter because he's got Devontae. So, yeah, as far as
it doesn't matter if he puts in a backup too, because he has Samir White.
And he has Derek Carr. I just noticed that.
Yeah.
But Rondale Moore could be somebody to keep an eye on in that Cardinals offense, and obviously Ramondre Stevenson. And he has Daniel Carlson. This man went for the Raiders' whole offense. It's so funny. And Pitt's going to be a beast. So, yeah.
I drafted the whole Eagles lineup a few years back when me and Justin went to the Alma Bowl together.
Yeah, you did.
So there's, if they have a good year, he might be able, if they're one of those high-scoring offenses, I don't think that's going to happen. But, it's great. I'm just not big on Josh Jacobs. I don't like his flex. I think Waller's going to digress this year, and I think of where he drafted him, I think we could have waited and got a different tight end. I love Lamar, but, he's one of these years, man. He's run so much, and injuries, like we said, they're unexpected. So if this is the year he gets injured, that might really kind of kill his team a little bit. But it's an all right team. I'd say it's like a mid-tier team. I'm not gonna say it's anything crazy, but it's not bad.
Yeah, I actually like Elijah Moore a lot. I was hoping to get him. He's one of the guys I was hoping to get. He's was playing good whenever the Jets had all their crazy QB stuff going on last year. I think Richard ended up getting hurt or something, and didn't play the end of the season. But he was a fine receiver. And when you play with all those kinds of QBs, you're not necessarily QB proof, but it gives fantasy owners hope that you are. I think everybody on his team has pretty high ceilings, honestly. And like on the Ramador Stevenson, when we were talking about Damian Harris, I didn't necessarily mean Damian Harris in particular. I was talking about New England running backs in particular. That one of them's gonna pop off. I don't really know who, because I don't think anybody really knows. But if you get the guy, sometimes it's better just to take the 50-50 than take a backup that you have no idea if they'll ever actually start. You're kind of taking a 50-50 coin toss here, which isn't the worst thing in the world. Lamar is still obviously good. And DeAndre Swift, I've heard a lot of people hyping him up this year. We'll see. It is still Detroit. So, never get your hopes up too high rooting for Detroit.
Yeah, one of these weeks, I think it's week 10. Yeah, it's week 10. Boss is going to end up having 5 Raiders players playing.
He's gonna have what?
Oh, he's gonna have
He's
5
going to have
playing?
5 Raiders players. Yeah, because Lamar is going to be on bye. Derek Carr.
Who do they play week 10? They play Kansas City week 10. I mean, that should be a high-scoring game, right?
That'd be so
It's
legendary.
division games, though, dude. Division games are wacky. Week 1 division games, all of them. It's hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah. But I still think the Chargers is going to be like a very high-scoring game, right? You think so? Right?
It should be.
Yeah.
But it's division games, dude. You just never
know.
know. They play each other all the time, and it's just it's hard to tell. Like, how many years I saw the Jets almost beat the Patriots, even though they'd be like just not that good of a team that year. It's just how divisions work, I think.
I think so too.
I guess we all got our words. We move on to Alan's team.
Alan's team?
I think even your rebrand.
Yeah.
McCafrican American.
Oh.
So I'll just start with like a general statement. I think my team's all right, average. I think it's like a middle tier team. I don't think it's anything special. I'm a realist. I have hope, but a lot of question marks on my team. When I was drafting and at my position, I knew I was going to get either Dalvin Cook, Najee Harris, or Alvin Kamara, and I took Najee Harris. I'll be honest, I don't know much about the guy. I didn't do any research on him, but I drafted him. I don't know much about him. And then with my second pick, I was going to go running back, but the running back I wanted was gone, so I saw Stephon Diggs there. And, I knew him. I was comfortable with him, so I took Stephon Diggs. The only player that was really planned was Kyle Pitts with my 3rd-round pick. I think with Drake London being there, I think he's going to have, he had 1,000 yards last year, just didn't have any touchdowns. He had 1. So I think he's going to have, over 1,000 yards again. And I think he might throw a few touchdowns in there this time as well. I think he's going to be big. Marcus Mariota likes his tight ends, but then again, it's Marcus Mariota, so I have a question mark there. And then after I took Kyle Pitts, I got Breece Hall. Again, I don't know anything about the guy. Huge question mark there. He might be good. I think they're projecting him to start. I looked at his college stats. He looked solid. Kind of the same reason why I like Kyle Pitts. I like the way he's built. He's fast. He's stocky. He can be a third down back. I saw his post-draft interview when he got drafted. He ran from the hotel room, got onto the stage. He was in like some sweatpants. He's not flashy. He's a guy that I know isn't going to be going to the club on Saturday. He's going to be there at Sunday working. So I really like that. Then I went with Jerry Jeudy. Like I said earlier, it's either I hope Russell Wilson's that guy. I really do because I have Jeudy. As far as Sutton and Jeudy, a lot of people are high on Sutton, but I was watching that ESPN Fantasy because I got ESPN Plus, and I was watching it, and I think Judy's going to be the DK of the offense, and Sutton's going to be the Tyler Lockett. They were both good, pretty close to each other. So, I don't think it's going to be anything crazy. I think Jeudy, he's only 23 years old. I like the guy. I think he's going to go. I got Dak. I really wanted Matthew Stafford, but I got Dak Prescott. I respect him. Even though I'm an Eagles fan, I respect the guy. Hopefully, I am a little nervous about the receiving core, but he is, an African American quarterback. They usually tend to have the tendency to run it and scramble. So, at this point in the draft, I was extremely frustrated. I just went. I said, "Screw it! I'm just gonna take Justin Tucker. I got to keep him." I don't think it's been a 15 year that I haven't taken Justin Tucker yet. And then the next 3 picks, they're all flex players, and I'm pretty decent at drafting some years, but I think I'm terrible at game management. I just know my strengths and my weaknesses, and game management is my weakness. I don't know. I won't know any week which flex to play. I asked this week. I really like MVS Marquise. I like him. I was honestly thinking about starting him over Stephon Diggs this week because Jalen Ramsey's going to be on Stephon Diggs all game, so I was a little nervous about that. But and then the rest of my team, are just some backups and stuff. But that's my team. Like I said, I think it's average. I can see me placing anywhere from, if I get really lucky in some games, and you never know, I'll get upset if somebody has a big player on a bye week. As high as 5. And as low as 8. So I think that's where my team ranks this year. Hopefully I get lucky. Hopefully Breece Hall has a breakout year. Like I said, you never know. There's some question marks. Kyle Pitts, hopefully he's opened up with Drake London there. He can blow up. He could be Travis Kelce this year. So, and truthfully, at the end of the day, none of us really know. I mean, we can expect it to go one way, but we can't give a 100% answer. So that's how I feel about my team. Love to hear what you guys think.
Man, Stephon Diggs had better never leave your lineup, Alan. Telling me you're out here thinking about playing Marquez Valdez-Scantling over Stephon.
Hey, save this out.
Hey, he did preface it with that he's not good at game management. Right.
I did say that.
Never leave your lineup.
Says he's not good at game management. 2 seconds later, he says he might take Stephon Diggs. For real though, Alan, I like Hunter Renfrow at your flex. He was almost going to be like my wide receiver too, or flex. So
yeah, I agree. I really like him as a flex, and if Cooper Kupp gets hurt, he might be the best wide receiver out there. So I'm big on him. He's really good at getting loose. He's going to be in the slot, and I think with Adams being there, he might get open for a lot of run after the catch plays.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree with your takes, Alan. I think you have a pretty middle tier team. I think Najee Harris is going to be serviceable, but I think he's going to take a step back from last year. I was telling Adam and Justin and them this forever ago, but Big Ben led the league in check downs. Means passes to your running back. So Najee Harris is eating up all those good little passes. Their new quarterback, Mitchell Trubisky, was last in the league across his in checkdowns. So I think receiving volume is going to drastically decrease. On top of that, part of the reason people were worried about him last year and the reason why he didn't do even better than he did last year was because that offensive line is terrible. They didn't do anything in this offseason to fix that. So those things, I think Najee, just because he'll get so many touches, he'll be good, but
Yeah, he was not efficient last year.
I don't think he's going to be a great back. I'm not a big fan of Breece Hall either. I think he's looked really bad, I would say, actually, in these preseason games. I think Michael Carter is going to have a much bigger role in that offense, and what I don't think is going to be a great offense. So I'm not huge on your running backs. On the other hand, I think your receivers are really, really good. Stephon Diggs, I think it's definitely in his cards that he could finish as the wide receiver one. Bill's offense is going to be elite. Stephon Diggs is going to, get 30% targets in that offense. Could very well finish as the wide receiver one. He doesn't have the biggest shot, but it could happen. I'm team Jerry Jeudy, where I think he'll be the wide receiver one in Denver. So I think he'll be a good receiver for you, and I think that'll be a high-powered offense. Kyle Pitts, like I've said, I think can finish as the top one. And I think Hunter Renfrow is a very serviceable flex player. Like everyone else said, I'm not a huge fan of your bench. I think your bench is kind of ugly, but I think that your receiver and tight end is good. You'll have a decent quarterback. Maybe if your running backs aren't as bad as I think they're gonna be, your team might be all right. I think you're gonna feel a lot of disappointment from your running back room this year.
Ouch. But it's expected. Like I said, an average team. I know where I stand this year.
Yeah. I think your team's pretty middle of the road, but I do think people may give Najee a little too much hate, honestly. He's going to get the ball in his hands, and that is one of the most important fantasy statistics there are, is how often a player is touching the ball. And I think Najee will get the ball a lot. And, no matter what anybody wants to say, he's going to touch the ball. And that is, what you want out of your first-round pick. That is a good floor to have. And, I don't think it's that bad of a pick. Breece Hall, on the other hand, as Ryan said, Michael Carter is still intended to be part of that offense. So I'm not so sure about him. Jets in general don't really like, except Elijah Moore. Fan of him. Maybe Zach Wilson too, because he's got the dog in him. I think Dak, will still be pretty good. We did lose a decent amount this year, so he may see some regression. Because the offensive line got a little worse. We lost Amari Cooper. But, we'll see how that pans out. But, yeah, I think, you're a pretty middle-of-the-road team. I don't think you'll come in last by any means. But, unless, stuff just really pops off, which it always can. I don't think anybody thought Deebo Samuel was going to end up being one of the best receivers last year. But he did.
I did. That's why I drafted him.
Okay. Dude, you knew it was a coin toss between him and Brandon Ayuk. And it ended up, just being him. So, Breece Hall could end up that way. Yeah, I feel like your team's a bit of an enigma. I feel like it makes it interesting, though.
Yeah, I really like Hunter Renfrow, to be honest. This is literally what Derwin James said about Hunter Renfrow. I don't know if you've seen his clip, Ryan. I'm sure you have. Yeah, so basically what Derwin James is saying that Hunter Renfrow, if you really, really look at his films, he's kind of like a Tyreek Hill. That's what he said. So you can keep that in mind. Like, if I were you, I don't know if it's not going to change anything. But when I was mock drafting on some of mine, I did have Hunter Renfrow as my flex too. And that's like a lot of people are really, really targeting on this guy. So I like him on your team. And I think it boosts up your wins a little bit on that.
You guys think I should play Miles Sanders over this Brees Hall kid?
Bro, this is fantasy, man. What you talking
They
about?
are playing Detroit.
In Detroit.
Game management,
Dude,
Alan.
all I'm gonna say, Alan, is I don't want to be in your decision to have to choose.
Yeah, I don't want to tell you what to do.
You guys suck.
Dude,
Take out
I don't want to
Stephon
have to be in
Diggs.
your decision to have to choose.
Take out Stephon Diggs, put Hunter Renfrow as your wide receiver, throw in Miles Sanders at the flex. Sorry.
I'm gonna answer you later tonight about what you need to do.
Like,
Dustin, what do you think
I
about
think
my
people
team?
overreact how bad Miles Sanders is. It's just the
He's
system
not
the
bad.
Eagles run. It's the system the Eagles run. It's not his fault.
Yeah, it's a committee. It's committee back there.
Any players getting on an interview and tell me not to draft them, touching my roster. Definitely not my starting lineup.
He
Who
did
said
say
that?
Miles
Miles
Sanders.
Sanders. He said not to draft him.
He said,
Don't draft him. Bro.
So, take that as you will.
Yeah. It's,
Who's next? Flo knows.
is it mine?
I don't get to the mind of the man.
Flo knew.
Yeah, Flo.
Oh no.
I think I should start off. I think my team is all right. I think could have good upside to us. I feel like a glare on my team is Zeke and Cam Akers as my two starting running backs. Definitely two risky picks. Took them in the third and fourth. I don't think it's the worst value in the world for them. If you think Tony Pollard's going to take over for Zeke, I got Tony Pollard on the bench. But if there's one thing people know about Jerry Jones, is he likes to be the five head or whatever you want to call it. He paid Zeke the money. They still think Zeke. They still love Zeke. And Zeke was still, I think, RB like 6 or something, RB7 last year. Obviously he played very well at the beginning of the season and kind of tapered off at the end. But I feel like he saw some life in him. Cam Akers, that pick, honestly, I didn't want to make it, but at the point in which he was dropping, somebody has to take him, right? And that just ended up being me. He is on one of the best offenses in the NFL. They're gonna, put up points, so my hope is that is enough supply to make up for the Achilles injury. And if it does, take a turn for the worse, then, I just, I have a habit of drafting a bad running back. Go ahead and get it off of me. Justin Jefferson, for me, that was textbook. It's who I wanted going in. I think, they have, Kevin O'Connell from the Rams last year as their head coach now. And Cooper Kupp was the number one receiver in fantasy in the, best season of all time. So, maybe he can give Justin Jefferson the same treatment. And, I got the Kirk Cousins stack with that. I actually wanted Matt Stafford, but, this isn't that bad either. Kirk Cousins is usually a top 12 quarterback in fantasy, at least over the last 6 or 7 years. So, definitely a pretty good floor there. But, it could be even better with the new head coach. And, I like about Justin Jefferson is I'm pretty confident he's going to get the ball every game. And so I like the floor in him too. Debo, same reason I took him as, Justin Jefferson is, San Francisco wants to give him the ball. They script plays to get him the ball short and then let him run. He's incentivized to run the ball. Maybe that's not the best thing in the world, but, Debo is a freak athlete, and when he gets the ball, he makes plays. It's a fact of the matter. George Kittle, it was another value pick. Having two San Francisco players is a little bold. But, typically their offense is pretty good about getting stuff done. I guess in the run game more so, but George Kittle has always been a pretty good value pick. Typical top 4 to 5 fantasy tight end over like the last 4 years. So there's really no reason to pass up on him. Damian Pierce, I got him pretty late actually, even though he's in my starting lineup right now. I got him 7th round. I've seen a lot of people recommending him in like the 4th or 5th. I think that's too early, but everybody's hyping him up, and there could be a lot of good to him. Dolphins, who don't matter. Amari Cooper, who I had originally taken to play the flex, but he's more of an end of the season play. Hoping that my team can last and play pretty well with what I gave them. And when Deshaun Watson comes back, I'm hoping will be a very good receiver because Deshaun's got to throw to somebody. And then I like the rest of the bench. Jamal Williams, solid backup, and so is Khalil Herbert. Michael Gallup could be pretty good. That's about it.
Oh, I feel like Adam.
Oh, here we go.
Go for it.
I don't love the team.
Why not?
I love your roster. I think it has the potential to be, maybe not the worst team, but I think has definitely the potential to struggle. I don't like your running backs that much. Zeke, he was on my team last year. He doesn't have the same burst he used to, and the Cowboys' offensive line this year is, the worst that it's ever been in his career. So I don't know that Zeke is really gonna, and he'll be serviceable, I think, but I don't think he's gonna be great. You think Tony Pollard, there's a potential at some point in this year you're starting Tony Pollard, which you have him for Zeke, but I think that offensive line is going to be a serious issue. I don't know how Cam Akers is going to be. I think Justin Jefferson, like you said, is going to be a beast. He could be wide receiver 1. He could have a Cooper Kupp type season. That's good, and Kirk Cousins is solid. But I think that if Trey Lance comes in here and isn't good, then Debo and Kittle are going to take a significant hit by that. And I think that's definitely in the deck of cards. Damian Pierce, he's the RB1 there, but I just don't know if it's going to be a very good offense. I feel like you're going to end up playing Amari Cooper at your flex a lot more often, which isn't terrible, especially once Deshaun comes back. I think he'll be a very good player. So if your team can keep afloat for whatever 9 weeks or 11 weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
If you can squeak into the playoffs, I think he'll be really good. But prior to that, I don't know. There's definitely the scenario where your team does end up good. I don't think that it has no ceiling. But I think if I had to put money on your team, I would lean towards the floor, the ceiling, personally.
Fair enough.
I can see your team going either way, Adam. I really do. I don't think you'll be in the middle. I think you'll either be at the top or at the bottom.
Have no other way.
Yeah,
I want to be in the middle. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I think top or bottom this year, man. Like Zeke, Brian kind of hit the nail on the head right there with the O-line. I think Debo and Kettle are both going to regress this year because I think the whole offense is going to regress. I'm not big on Trey Lance. That might just be a me thing, me personally. So, I have my opinion there. Hopefully I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, I think, they'll both be great. I think Kettle can regress more so than Samuel can still run that ball. Kirk Cousins, I think he's average. I love Justin Jefferson, and I think Akers, from where you got him, at 41st, I think he should be good. I drafted him. I think I drafted him the year he got injured, the first game on the first snap or something. And I just, I personally hate him as a human being, but as a fantasy player, I think you'll see a lot of upside for him.
Yeah, I will say, you shouldn't act like Jimmy Garoppolo was a good quarterback last year when evaluating Deebo Samuel. He didn't even throw for 4,000 yards. So it's
Jimmy's issues are different than Trey's issues.
Yeah.
And Trey's not accurate, at least in his preseason game. Jimmy Garoppolo's at least accurate enough. He's just not.
Decision smart.
He's like a Kirk Cousins, but much worse. You know the Kirk Cousins tiers? He's like the 0.5 Kirk Cousins.
You know what? The Kirk Cousins tiers is bad because Kirk Cousins is he's just not good in prime time.
He's not. He gets nervous.
He's average. He's something you normalize.
He did beat Drew Brees twice though in the playoffs.
Exactly. I don't know. I mean, so there's definitely the world where Trey Lance comes out and is a beast, and then Deebo Samuel and Kittle are nasty, and your team's disgusting. But he's looked wildly inaccurate in preseason.
Yeah, fair enough.
And like you said yourself, it brought Jimmy G back on an expensive contract for a backup.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yo, Justin.
I don't have much to add to that. I'm kind of on Alan's boat, one way or the other. You know, like right now, looking at it, might be leaning the bad way, but like it's kind of like the same situation as who's running backs for those? Ryan and Allen's. Like it's kind of those same situations. Like your team might live or die by those two guys right there. Which most teams you would say that like your running backs are important, but it's just the boomer busts like potential, I guess. So because I think I feel like you hit it well with Justin Jefferson, Debo, and George Kittle. I think Trey Lance could actually be pretty solid this year. And obviously your flex is a question mark, but
Yeah,
I think you'll
everybody
figure it out.
says
Michael Gallup, I like, and Sky Moore
I
could.
hope Dak likes him.
Yeah,
But
Michael
that's
Gallup
all I
was good
really
before
have
he
to
got
add.
hurt last year, actually.
Yeah, he was.
He wasn't the worst. And Mari's gone now. Alright.
Next up is the auto draft team. Oh, I thought Leo went. Sorry.
No. Do you have anything else, or is it just...
We can move on.
take that as a no?
Oh, okay. The auto drafted team. It's actually not that bad.
It's really not for an auto draft team.
Like J.K. Dobbins, you know, little sketchy, but
I like Schultz.
It was a 4th round pick, though.
I agree with that's a high for him, but I think he'll be a solid player. I think Dad's roster turned out pretty good.
Or 5th round pick, actually. Sorry.
yeah, like his receivers are good. Aaron Rodgers is MVP. Yeah, I mean, I think he's looking solid.
I think his team is good. I think Aaron Rodgers, he's not gonna finish as like a top 5 QB or anything. I don't think, or he might finish top 10, I guess. But he'll be a good, weekly starter. I think should have maybe not quite as good a year as last year, but closer to last year than the previous years in his career. So he should be pretty good. Dobbins is certainly a question mark, but if he ends up healthy and is the RB1, a clear-cut RB1 in that offense, that's going to be a run-heavy offense where he could be good. CeeDee Lamb is going to be a beast. He's CD. I think DJ Moore, he has the best quarterback he's ever played with, and he was already a pretty good wide receiver, so I think he'll end up being a very solid player. Dalton Schultz is good. My dad got insane value on Brandon Cooks. I wanted him that round. They took him. Brandon Cooks, I think, is really good. And, if the world happens where Trey Lance ends up being a prolific quarterback, then he has Trey Lance on his bench, and he'll be able to plug that in and have a rushing upside, really good quarterback. So I think, I think his team's really, really good. He's definitely, one running back injury away from not having any running backs at all. But I think he has very good receivers.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really much to say. It's
Yeah, I
just a
like
solid team. He's got his starting positions filled fine. J.K. Dobbins definitely has question marks. Didn't he lead the league in yards per carry before he tore his ACL, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so he definitely has the potential to be good on one of the most run heavy teams. CD should definitely take a step up. So should Dalton Schultz without Amari there. And yeah, I mean, solid team. A little bit weak of a bench. Has 3 quarterbacks. Yeah, but it is what it is. Anything else, anybody?
They were good on this one.
All right, move to all I do is win.
I was actually drafting next to this individual.
Or
I
his
gave him
thoughts?
I gave him some good takes on some of the players, but if his team goes bad, I might be partially responsible. So he took Dalvin Cook in the first round. He didn't want anything to do with Harris. He really wanted Derrick Henry, or he was hoping people would sleep on CMC. Neither one of those happened, so he just went with Cook. It was a safe bet, and it was a good pick. Can't really complain much about those. After that, he wanted to go running back, and he did that. He got Williams in the second. Who he was targeting, he was happy he got him. Honestly, I would have taken him if he would have taken Hall. I didn't want to mess him up or anything. I played it fair. I just told him to take either one. I told him we were both rookies. We don't really know much about. Or Hall was a rookie. We didn't know much about him. And I told him Javonte is going to be good now. Wilson potentially. So he went with him. Then after that, he went with AJ Brown. I told him the truth about Jalen Hurts. I said it like how it is. We're a run-heavy offense. Jalen Hurts had 10 rushing touchdowns, and you have Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. It's a big red zone threat. So did take AJ Brown. Later on, he handcuffed him with Hurts. He was between Johnson and Hollywood Brown. I told him to take Hollywood Brown. He did not listen to me. And he took Johnson. I told him to take Goddard. He didn't want Goddard because he already had Hurts and Brown, so he went with Zach Ertz instead of Goddard. Drake London, I forgot who it was, but it was between Drake London and somebody else, and I swore up and down. I begged him to take Drake London. So if Drake London shit the bed this year, I might have a God. What do you say?
How's Drake London?
I think Drake London's going to be good.
No, I can't remember the person that Christian was considering. It's Alan's fault if it ends up being bad for Christian.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
I think Drake London will be good.
Yeah, I do too. Kyle Pitts is there, and I love Kyle Pitts.
The Mark Mariota at quarterback.
Yeah, that was my whole argument, was Kyle Pitts.
Analysis.
He's a little nervous about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. He handcuffed them together. Hopefully it turns out good for them. I think it will. I think A.J. Brown's going to do good this year. I think Jalen Hurts is an upgrade from Ryan Tannehill. Nothing crazy of an upgrade, but an upgrade.
Yeah.
Face value, Christian's team is like, oh, okay. But I think the upside of Christian's team is pretty good. Like obviously, Geno Smith, it's freaking Geno Smith. But who knows? Like DK Metcalf could go crazy, like just be somebody that just has a monster year on a team that loses a lot of games probably. But I like his running backs a lot. I was pretty high on Javonte. I actually like Christian's team a decent bit.
I think his team has some question marks with Johnson and Williams, but it's a wide receiver 2 and an RB 2, so they only got to be so good. I think, I like it. It kind of reminds me a lot about my team. Kind of just, I think it's going to be average. Might be because we drafted together. So I don't know. Maybe we're that
That a thing again?
What, Pack?
Drades. Are the Drades back?
I don't know, man. We did share an energy drink.
I see Christian's team the same way I kind of see Adam's team. He has good players. I think Dalvin Cook is going to be good, and Jalen Hurts is going to be good, and A.J. Brown is going to be good. I don't know if I'm completely sold on Javonte or Deontay because that offense I don't think is going to be great. The Steelers. Zach Ertz I think would be good, but I think there's question marks. I don't think DK Metcalf is going to be good. I don't particularly love Christian's bench. So if anything happens, then I don't know how well he feels in injury. So I think his team is like maybe a slightly below average team. It has a ceiling that could be really good. Like I'm not, don't count any team out, but I'm not crazy about them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys kind of hit all the talking points of it. I will say, just like fantasy terminology, when a quarterback and a receiver are together, it's a stack. A handcuff is when you have two running backs of the same team, like a starter and the backup.
You know what I meant, though.
Yeah, I know what you were saying.
Exactly what I meant. I was looking at his team, talking, and trying to remember what happened 2 days ago, Adam.
Yeah. No, you're good. Yeah, that's just the terminologies though, but it doesn't really matter. It's just a way for me to understand. I already understood, so you're right.
So what if I said he paired Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown? Or if I
Yeah.
say he paired his quarterback.
Well, if you just say Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, I understand that they're together. It doesn't matter whatever other term you use, but technically it's a stack.
Okay.
Handcuff is if you had Alexander Madison on this team or something.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry. I had to get that out. But yeah, I kind of agree with you guys on this. High floor, or no, reverse that. High ceiling, low floor. Yeah, and I think that's really all that there is to say other than what you guys said. All right, let's move on.
Who's next?
Two Gurleys, one Kupp.
So for Christian's team, I really like Devontae Williams. I really like Devontae Williams.
All right, yeah.
Because have you guys seen that clip of him dragging defenders?
Great to see you earlier on the NFL today. As Javonte Williams takes the handoff, and Williams, nice second effort, still going. Javonte Williams carrying defenders.
No.
Dude, that was the one that got me sold onto this guy. And then Abbas took him in the Dynasty League, and then Christian took him in this one. And I was really down after that. I really thought he was going to slip a past Abbas, and it didn't, obviously. But Javonte Williams could end up having like a Christian McCaffrey like debut year. He's really good. But the only problem is Melvin Gordon still has like the more touches than he would.
I heard it was technically more Javonte. I heard it was 55 Javonte, 45 Melvin, but that's still like a pretty big split.
I think it is like what you said, 55-45, but the way people were drafting Javonte originally, they were drafting it like it was like a 70-30 split or something.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Christian hasn't he has the good running back, and then he has this flyer.
Just solid.
That's not a bad way to go about it. Yeah, Ermin's team up next. 2 Gurleys, 1 Kupp, per usual.
I like it. I think it's a really good team. The only concern I have is Tyreek Hill.
Why? You not trust Tua?
God, no. I saw a thing of him. The
50-yard curl route?
No, I saw a thing of him throwing at cardboards, and he was missing them. Or standing still. The NFL posted it. I was watching this, and they were like 20 yards out, man. He was just missing them. They were just standing still. They were big cutouts. And I was like, oh, God.
Maybe he was supposed to miss him, Alen.
No, he was trying to hit him. He got one. He was 1 for 3. And the one that hit the cardboard's legs.
Yeah, I definitely like Ermin's team. I think Patrick Mahomes is a very good QB. Obviously, Derrick Henry is an absolute monster, and he will be fed constantly. He's guaranteed points. Elijah Mitchell has the potential to be, a really good running back in fantasy as, the 49ers supply. With that said, the floor is very low because you really never know who they're going to go with, and that's a tough part about taking a San Francisco running back. But last year he was very good. He definitely has injury problems. He kept hurting his shoulder and his hips, I think. Tyreek, I think Tyreek's good enough to make up for Tua's, maybe lack of ability. Just because of how skilled he is when the ball's in his hands. He maybe fall out of a deep route role and maybe get more into a short pass and then become explosive when he has the ball in his hands, closer to like how Debo is. The only reason those plays work Kansas City is because Patrick Mahomes has a cannon on him. Tua does not. So how somebody chooses to use Tyreek could be very different since he's such a versatile player. People saw him when he started in the league. He was a punt returner, and he'd do all these crazy droops and stuff. I wouldn't say it's too far fetched to have him as a short pass and just let him do what he does. T. Higgins definitely solid. I think he was like receiver like 15 or something last year. Even with Jamar Chase playing really well, so definitely able to supply two receivers on that team. T.J. Hawkinson. Did he end up even being good? Honestly, I don't even know.
He was good, but he got hurt at the
He got
end
hurt.
of the year.
Okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude, he was really good the first 2 weeks. Yeah, he definitely. I mean, he has tight ends are typically somewhat inconsistent, but for tight ends, definitely much more consistent. So solid pickup. Rashad Bateman. I always hear people hyping him up. We'll see how he goes. Hollywood Brown's gone. So a lot of upside there. Let's see. Yeah, he has Matt Stafford, who I wanted. But yeah, there's really not much else to say. It's definitely a solid roster with a lot of upside.
Yeah, I think you covered it well. I like Ermin's team a lot. I think it has potential to be very scary. I think a Derrick Henry injury could derail his team very quickly.
He doesn't have a third running back.
It does not have a back.
I just noticed that.
So Derrick Henry injury, which is certainly possible, could derail his season quite quickly. But as it stands right now, I think Ermin's got one of the nicer rosters.
Elijah Mitchell is likely to get injured too. He definitely needs a backup.
Also, Adam, I sent you that video. I sent it to the group chat on Instagram. I want everyone to watch that video to it, and then I want you to come back and tell me if you think Tyreek Hill's going to have a good year.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh.
Yeah, you seen the throws?
Yeah. Hey, you hit the deep one though, man. You hit the deep one.
Yeah, and the legs.
The one that he had to deep is very wobbly.
Yeah, dude, he's throwing a duck. Oh, okay. You know what? I might be out on Tyreek.
Got it, didn't get any Dolphins players. I have one more draft tomorrow night.
Yeah. Justin, you got anything to say? Leo?
I thought you were good, Adam.
Okay, cool.
Right, two more.
Who's next?
Whose team we on? Tate?
We're on Tate's now. Do you want to take it? Or...
Oh. What? I was like, what? I was like, where is this good player? I told you my Chase at the flex. I was so confused for. Hey man, Mike Evans, Tom Brady revenge year. If the rumors are true, could be nutty. Darnell Mooney could have a big year. I'm not a CEH believer though. I'm not at all, really, to be honest. And I think James Conner was a little bit fluky last year just because of all the touchdowns. So I'm going to be honest, I don't love the team. I know Tate was in a high-stress situation with the misclick, and then I think he misclicked, and then didn't
He missed the first
didn't
pick.
he
He
miss?
missed his first
Yeah,
pick.
His first pick, and then he misclicked on the odd one instead of Sutton.
yeah, but I do like the Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase stat. That could be that'll just make his season fun to watch. I mean, obviously he's a Bengals fan already, but it'll add a little bit to it. I always like doing that myself, just to make it more fun when you watch the games. Overall, though, definitely back end team in my opinion. What else? Yeah, that's pretty much all I got on that.
Yeah, someone may call me a hater at this point, because I always dog on Tate's team. I feel like it's becoming a yearly thing, man. But I don't like the team. Like, I don't. James Conner's your RB1. You know, he's really good last year, but you know, and he still might be fine. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire is your RB2. Bro, Clyde isn't good. He's not the guy. All right, some people got it, some people don't. Clyde don't take it.
He was taken before Jonathan Taylor in the NFL draft.
True.
Just FYI.
True.
All right. Adam, you finished? Oh, I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this, though. Tate's, I think his, you know, the top half of his bench actually isn't that bad. You know, Cordarrelle Patterson, you know, people definitely think he's going to regress because of, what's the dude's name? Like, Trevor Algager or something. Yeah, him. But, you know, Cordarrelle Patterson was still really good last year, so there's definitely a lot of potential there. Michael Carter, you know, is still supposed to be involved in that offense. There's potential there. And Christian Kirk got signed to a pretty big deal. You know, Jacksonville definitely intends to use him. So, you know, I think, you know, he has actually one of the more usable benches, in my personal opinion, that I've seen today. But, yeah, I mean, you know, CEH is the second running back. I guess you said second running back doesn't matter that much. But yeah, if you want to take over, I'm not big of a fan. Could be angry.
I don't like Adam's hatred over here. I like his team a lot, actually.
Go for it, yeah.
You guys are talking about James Conner. He scored a touchdown in 10 out of the 16 games he played. Or I'm sorry, he missed 2 games.
Yeah, missed 3 games. Oh yeah, 2 games.
You can't tell me James Conner. He had a good year last year. Yeah, he also had a good year when he was on Pittsburgh after beating cancer. I think his body was weak and he's good. Okay, Mike Evans, he's good. He's had like 8 or 9 straight seasons with 1,000 yards receiving.
Hey, I wouldn't dog Mike Evans. Mike Evans is
consistency. Yeah, Jamar Chase, he's a young talent. He's matched up there with Joe Burrow. It's beautiful. I like it. Dallas Goedert, I think he might finish as the 5th best tight end in the league this year. I really do. He's a red zone animal. Zach Ertz, he has a record for most receptions a season by tight end in league history. The Eagles like their tight ends. I think Dallas Goedert's going to be good. And I'm disgusted, appalled, and embarrassed for the hatred you guys are giving Clyde Edwards.
Oh, shut up.
He is an LSU prodigy. I'm disgusted.
Shut up.
2 bad years, and we're just going to count the guy out? Yo, put some
At running back, yeah, most people do.
Oh, most people do, Justin?
Yeah.
I know another running back who was taken in the 2nd round, whose first 2 years didn't even have 1,000 yards combined. You know who that was? Derrick Henry. Okay? Look it up. Derrick Henry. This is his 3rd year. Give the kid a break. He's not even 25 years old
The
yet.
Titans were ready to trade Derrick Henry. Everybody was calling for his neck.
I thought Derrick Henry was trash.
Dude, everybody did. Everybody did.
All right, Alan. That was a good argument.
Bad.
I'll give it. I'll hear you out on that.
And that's all I got to say about my man Tate's team.
Let me hit you with another point here, though, Alan. All right. How many running backs have played bad their first 2 seasons and didn't end up like Derrick Henry?
LeGarrette Blount. Rex Burkhead.
Exactly. There's more than that ended up like Derrick Henry.
There's a hole between Rex Burkhead and Garrett Blunt and Derrick Henry.
Yeah, I know.
Dude, all I know is that Garrett Blunt had a season.
Alan's choices are just so random.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire might have 20 touchdowns.
Rex Burkhead's a backup.
Yeah, now.
He's always been a backup.
Oh, dude, come on, give me that. Don't give me that crap.
Except against the Chargers.
The kid will be a star right now.
Yeah, right.
Austin Eckler wasn't that great either, guys. I remember him being pretty trash.
He was always good. He was undrafted, though. He's an undrafted guy. I don't know. I group Tate's team with the Adam Christian category. They have good players, but I'm just not crazy about the roster. Especially swapping Jamar Chase in there instead of Cooper Kupp. I feel like that takes it down a little bit.
Dude, the Chris Godwin thing too.
Yeah. I don't know. There's definitely a scenario where Tate's team ends up nasty. Like James Conner has a year again. Jamar Chase ends up with an MVP type season. Mooney pops off. It's definitely in the deck of cards, but I'm not a huge believer. I'm not crazy about Tate's team, to be honest. I think I'm kind of agree with Justin, where I think James Conner's touchdowns may have been a bit fluky. I don't know that he repeats that again. I don't think Clyde is that great. I don't know. I'm not crazy about the roster.
I got to go pick up my Chipotle soon, so I'm going to speed run my thought process here.
Don't leave the Discord when you do, though. It'll mess up the pictures.
All right. So I think I was the only person to draft 3 running backs in a row.
Oh, are you in YouTube? Sorry.
Yeah. Unless Leo didn't speak up, so I just moved on.
Yeah.
So basically, I went into the draft thinking I was going to get DeAndre Swift, Leonard Fournette, and David Montgomery. Obviously, that went different. I think Alvin Kamara could ball out, but like I don't know. Aaron Jones, 1A, 1B, all that freaking crap. Who knows what's going to happen there? My wide receiver, I like them. But when you look at the other rosters wide receivers, it's like, okay, mine definitely like have some good upside, but you look at the names and you're like, ah. It's like super. And that's what I was gonna say. Like, I think Gabe Davis is somebody that could pop off for the team this year that I could rely on maybe at a certain point in the season. David Montgomery, he's been good, but just the Bears are bad. So it's like how is that gonna work this season? Antonio Gibson, obviously, the crap that he's been like. That they've been saying about him. They've been making him freaking kick returner, punt returner, whatever. They got Brian Robinson, who's a national American hero. Like Antonio Gibson's never been bad though. Is like on the other side of that. Like, he hasn't really had a bad season. So we'll see what happens there. I went with Tim Brady because his offense is stacked. I think maybe broke the record for most pass attempts last year in a season. I know there was an extra game, so I'm not sure. And then I went with Raheem Mostert because he might take the job from Chase Edmonds, and he's a speed demon, so you never know. Chase Claypool, he's still young. He's talented. Mitch Trubisky, I think, is maybe an upgrade over what we got out of Big Ben the past couple years. So that was kind of my thought process. Allen Robinson, though, I think could have a huge year, and I really wanted him. I maybe reached for him a little bit, but yeah. So that's kind of where my thought process was. You guys can roast my team while I'm gone. I got to get Chipotle before it closes. I already ordered. Freaked out bad. So yeah.
Yeah, just don't leave the Discord. It'll mess up the pictures.
All right. I won't.
Yeah, bet.
I'll go first. I don't like his team at all. I think his receivers are really weak. I think, his receivers are weak. I think his tight end's weak. He went 3 running backs, but I feel like he just closed his eyes and just threw in there and just grabbed 3 random running backs. Like, I'm not big, where he got Jones in the second round. I feel like there was better options for him to draft right there, even if he was going to reach down a little bit. Into like the low teens, early 20s, he could have reached down and grabbed a better running back.
Who would you consider better? If you don't want me to ask.
Leonard Fournette, was he there?
No, he was not. He was picked right before.
Who was there? I feel like there would be better options than Jones.
Probably Javante, I would say, was there. Saquon was there.
I think they wanted Javante both over Aaron.
You would?
I don't remember who else was there, I'll be honest. But
let me just wrap up on the rest of the team. I mean,
yeah, you're good.
I don't like that. Kamara, man, like the Saints, since Drew Brees is gone, they're in a rebuilding phase. I think they should have traded him away. Honestly, he could have been much better on a different team. I think if he was on the Bills, I think Kamara would have been a top 10 fantasy player this year. I really do.
I think he'd be top 1.
Yeah, if he would have been nasty, they should have traded him, gotten some picks out of it. Montgomery, I think he's cheeks. And then his receivers are just cheeks in general. I think his best player on him was Tom Brady.
I have to say, Justin's is my least favorite team in the league. Sorry, Justin. Let me go back and watch this later, but just don't love the team. I think Alvin certainly could have an amazing year, but could also just have like a very okay year. If that offense ends up not that great, just kind of like, their offensive line isn't as good as it used to be, I think it could end up just very okay. But it's in his cards to have a good year. The things that I don't like more is like Aaron Jones. I think the Packers offense could really take a step back. I know that I'm playing a Packers running back as my RB2, but I paid a much different price than he did for his Packers running back at RB2, and his is a better running back. But I'm just not crazy on the Aaron Jones this year. Alen Waddle and Allen Robinson. I think Allen Robinson has as good of a chance to have a crazy go-off year as OBJ did last year. I think that is more of what's in the cards for Allen Robinson, is the kind of year OBJ had last year, which is not terrible, but that's more of like a flex player, not so much what you would want out of your RB2. I think Jalen Waddle, I don't know. I just feel like Tyreek's going to take a lot of targets away, and he was so good because he was a target monster. He just ate up all the targets last year. I could see him taking a step back. I think Khalil Herbert's going to take a lot of David Montgomery's touches, so I think Montgomery's going to not do as good. And Gabe Davis, I think, is a good play. He's certainly everyone's hyping up Gabe Davis, but there's, people don't like to talk about it. There's also the world where Gabe Davis isn't that great. He just had that one good year game in the playoffs. So Justin's my least favorite team. He has a lot of good backups, I think, that he could plug in, but I certainly don't think his team has enough boom potential to win a ship. And I think that it has a low enough floor that it could be the last place team.
I agree. I want to bring something up real quick that we don't mention enough, and Ryan, you brought it up as you were speaking. Where you draft players, I feel like we don't recognize that enough when we're discussing these teams, because you could have, and we bring it up, the price you pay for it's really important. Just an example on my team, I feel like Breece Hall, he's a rookie. I got him, at the end of the 4th round. So, for where I paid for him, I feel comfortable with him. I have an expectation. I mentioned that early on when we were talking about certain players. I think whoever had Michael Thomas and...
Aren't you a middle pick, Alan?
Yeah, it was...
I was at the end of the 4th round. I'm sorry.
Pick 40.
Alan is pick 6 or 7.
Anyways, Adam, I was saying, Juju Smith-Schuster and Michael Thomas, for what Colin paid for him, it's great because he's gonna, he might not be expecting the world out of him, so his expectations might be low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely get the point you're making, and it makes a lot of sense. But I think you guys are being way too down on Alvin Kamara and Aaron Jones, if I'm being completely honest. Aaron Jones is still a very good running back, and he catches the ball decently well. And Aaron Rodgers is gonna have to go to somebody with Devontae gone, and I think they'll incorporate the running backs a lot more. And I see no reason why Alvin Kamara would really regress. He's always just been a monster on his own. Even when Drew Brees was getting hurt over the last couple of years with broken ribs and whatnot and broken thumb or whatever, he still played very well. Allen Robinson, I think, has a lot of upside. Jalen Waddle's a mystery for me just because I don't really know how that team's going to operate. David Montgomery, I think, is a middle-of-the-road running back, so as a flex option, I don't think it's that bad. I think Justin has a decent team. It's not horrible. If I'm being honest, I don't think any team in this league is truly bad. I think everybody has a fighting chance not to come in last.
I think everyone's team definitely has a fighting chance. There's no, I say there's some teams that whatever I don't think are great, but that doesn't mean that they're like a trophy.
I guess that's what we haven't explained in depth enough is when we say a team is good or bad, for the most part the differences are pretty small. Like obviously you have your outliers. You guys like Colin's team a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like his team's an outlier, but for the most part, most teams are all very close together, in terms of value. And one swing, one way or another, could change everything.
I agree. Once the injuries start rolling in,
nobody's safe.
They're gonna get crazy.
I agree.
Yeah, I guess. Wraps up the team analysis. We've been going for almost 2 hours. You guys have any last words? Any final predictions? Any you want to say?
Any games you guys excited to see watch this week? Any games you think are going to be close, or any shootouts or anything?
I'm not. I'll say it's a game I'm not excited to watch. Is the Cowboys-Bucks game. So we had to play in Week 1 last year too, and we got smoked. Or we didn't get smoked. We actually played pretty well, but it's just not fun having to play.
I'm nervous to see Dak Prescott play that game, I'll be honest.
I am too, Alan. I am too. Huh?
Who? Are they playing?
The Bucks. We played in Week 1 last year also.
Oh, I do remember that.
Yeah, that's twice.
I think that's an L.
I do too, I'll be honest.
Yeah, when I are pulling up to the Raiders-Chargers game this weekend, Alen, we're pretty hyped. It's the Raiders-Chargers is the game with the most fights each year.
Oh.
Excited to see some crazy Raiders fans there.
I hope Hunter Renfrow scores like a 99-yard receiving touchdown.
Hope not.
I'm really excited for the Raiders and Chargers game.
Yeah.
Forgot you had Dak on your team, Alan.
I know. I'm nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. You got Christian Week 1, so should be good fun.
Yeah, I got an easy matchup next week though.
What's your matchup next week?
Who's your matchup next week? Did you say me or which one?
It's a scrub club.
Dude, I think we play in the Dynasty next week too.
Oh, really?
Dude, we're about to be hate week, Alan. We can't be friends next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, dude, honestly, you'll beat me in the Dynasty. I'm still having trouble trying to figure out a sell lineup.
Hey, you got Jerry Jeudy. Dude, honestly, the taxi thing was kind of messing my head for a minute.
Dude, everyone I saw was like just dropping players.
Yeah, bro, because if you didn't pick up 3 rookies, you couldn't put them like you had to.
You guys not draft at least 3 rookies.
I only drafted 2, and one of them was my starting lineup because Michael Gallup, so I had to play Jalen
supposed to drop 3 players?
No, you're supposed to move 3 rookies to your taxi squad.
It's a taxi squad.
Where you put your rookies.
Why is it?
Dude, there's no reason Justin, for instance. Justin has 2 empty bench spots and an empty taxi squad. Like, why do you have any empty roster spots? There's
I
no
feel
benefit.
so old and in the way when I'm on this app.
I saw
Bro,
that
because you can't pick them up directly to your taxi. You have to pick them up onto your roster, and then you can move them to your taxi.
Speaking of this sleeper fantasy,
So
draft,
annoying.
I think I might have the best team in there, man. Trey Lance, Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, Devontae Adams, Cooks, Goddard, Drake London, Sammy Watkins.
You did take a lot of old running backs, Alan, I'll be honest.
Man, I'm trying to win now. I'm like the
I think I have a win now team, Alan. I might be making a big trade here pretty soon, pushing all my future first round picks in to buy a good running back. Win now running back.
I got one.
Train Jameson Williams and 2 first round picks.
You can trade picks?
Yeah. Braxton offered Leo his 2023 third round pick.
That's how you can win now, by pushing all your chips in the middle. But just make sure that just don't get too dangerous with yourself.
Oh, you got Kyle Pitts?
It's in 5 years of disgusting.
Where's Kyle Pitts? God, I don't even know how to freaking trade on this thing. It's so confusing.
Go to the other person's team, I guess. Or,
I'll give him my second. I'll give him.
am I good in the
Yeah, we can end it.